It's off exit 10, presented by Capital District Sport and Fitness.
It's a workout place, you know.
We're human beings, though, too. That's what people get confused. Like, we're fitness people, and we're just dudes. Like,
Yeah.
This
Having
is
fun.
This is what we're good at. Yeah.
If you have fun, the kids have fun.
That's so true.
That's so true.
That's
100%.
yeah. That's such a.
We've said that forever, you know, not only teaching together with our teachers, but coaches, our staff, you know, have fun.
Where do people lose the having fun, though, or never bring it to the table as a coach? Because you know kids who are like, oh, this practice is miserable, or coach hates me, or this isn't fun. Where does it get lost for people? Because that is such a simple concept.
I think, and that's a whole hour of how do you get practices to keep that way. I think it's hard. When I was a young coach and things were, it was tough, a lot of pressure. I was varsity basketball coach in the suburban council at 24, and it's tough. I mean, you get cold sometimes, whatever, but you're just trying to make every day a good day because practice is where it's at. That's where you're teaching your stuff. The game is fun, and you're trying to make it, a practice for the kids to, you switch it up, you never be predictable. That's my biggest thing is, hey, when they start getting used to what's going on, are they having fun, right?
Right.
Come in and like I have a guy that can make me T-shirts in 2 hours. Like I'll come into a practice because we had this big discussion of the meaning of tenacious. So I came in with a shirt that said tenacious. That was last year's team, And this year I got my assistant and I shirts that said we love the scramble point, and we walked in. The kids had fun with that and we're laughing, and if you have fun, the kids have fun. They want to learn. Don't get me wrong. We keep people in line. We're structured with what we do, but I think one of the big things is to make that fun. To make it a place where after a long day with some of what these kids do academically, holy cow,
Yeah.
They're coming down to the gym. It's hard work and it's whatever, but let's have fun and get better,
Yeah, academically and athletically. It's like these schedules are quite intense.
Very. I mean, what these kids are doing, and it's just amazing. I'm so, maybe because I didn't, I just kind of did. And I think that's why I preach it now, because I wish I did more.
What do you mean?
In school,
Yeah.
Academically, that kind of stuff. And
What is your academic background?
So I grew up in a small town, 402 people, Middleville, New York. Call the wrong number and still talk for 10 minutes.
Is that smaller than Chatham? How small is Chatham?
Chatham's thousands.
Okay, so that's small, man.
Oh, yeah. So but I was a dairy farmer. I wasn't going to college to be a teacher till March of my senior year.
Like your family had a farm.
I was at a place where I actually today I raise pedigree Holstein cows. So it's what I do.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's a small town guy, and I went to Herkimer Community College and then to Cortland and
Shout out to Cortland.
shout
You
out
got
Cortland.
Cortland.
two other Cortland
Two,
guys
all
right here.
Yeah, baby. Red Dragons. The real Red Dragons.
Cortland people love Cortland.
Oh yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's, I met my wife there, and it's just great memories. And
What's the name of the bar? The popular one. What's it?
the Dark Horse.
Yep. It's been
Somebody told me that I was always in the library, so I didn't.
Yeah,
But,
me too. Me too. I was in the library.
I lived right up the street on Clayton Avenue, but
I was on Clayton at one point. Yep.
yeah. But
26
I
Clayton.
mean, it was good, and then you're getting married. So this was 87, and I stayed and I got my master's at Cortland, and just couldn't wait to coach football, basketball, baseball. Just lived for it. And
Shout out to Notre Dame.
oh,
Big night last
Big
night.
night.
play like a champion today.
Yep.
Just so happy for them, and I just love hearing great people talk. I love hearing Marcus Freeman, what he has to say. I love last night where Riley Leonard is in a mic in front of the entire country, and he says, I shouldn't really be here.
Yeah.
Because my teammates should be here because they really picked me up tonight. And that's just great stuff that I remember when Lou Holtz won a national championship at Notre Dame, and I tell this to my kids every year because we actually talk about how to talk to papers, newspapers and reporters, and make sure that, we are humble with what we do. And
You talk with your current athletes about
my
that.
team about that. Yeah, well, we talk about, and I'll never forget, they pick up Lou Holtz winning the national championship, and they set him down, and they put a mic in front of him and said, asked him about the national championship, and the first words out of his mouth were, man, we just beat a good football team.
Yeah.
That's just amazing stuff, and I love to hear that stuff and and move on. But then we go on, and we get married July of '88, and I don't have a job. I get called on my honeymoon in Portland, Maine.
That's where I got engaged. Shout out to Portland, Maine.
Yeah, and and just they said the school burnt Hills, and I said okay. So I go and I get an August interview for a halftime phys ed job, and I said they said any questions? I said, what do you have for coaching? I said, well, you coach JV softball, so I'm like, okay, that's good. I can do that, and freshman basketball, I can do that, and in 2 weeks you're going to be the varsity volleyball coach. Now, I didn't have Google. It took me 3 bookstores to find one book because I didn't take that at Cortland because she used computers. And I was around that time, right? The early 80s. I graduated in 83, and my school got their first 9 computers the next year. So I was always chasing it. And in Cortland, that was Smith Corona. The typewriters were in Cortland, so we had and I never took it. Number one, I was never going to coach volleyball. So why, and went on, and I actually was student teaching at Gator, Disney Teacher of the Year at Lafayette High School outside of Syracuse.
People don't realize that. I went to Springfield. But yeah, I'm I could take volleyball or baseball as a class and get credits.
Yeah.
Oh, you had to.
I had to take activity classes.
Yeah, you did. You had to.
That's right. And that was huge. And yeah,
Rhythm and dance.
yeah.
You took that.
Had to. It was
You
a
danced
requirement.
in front of
It was a
people?
requirement. Yeah, you had to partner up with somebody.
Oh, yeah.
I luckily found it was most of the classes all guys. Too.
Gary, you did rhythm and dance too?
We did all types of dance.
Yeah, most of the classes is guys because the phys ed major is predominantly a male major. But I was we had rhythm and dance. You got to partner up, and I was first cute girl I saw in the class. I was like, yep, that's my partner for the entire time. And I was like, thank you.
Yeah. No, I mean, and it's good. I remember we used to have to wear pennies for our final in dance. So you're waltzing, doing stuff, but you had a number on it. And he'd walk around with his microphone, and you're wondering what he's saying, and what your grade is, But yeah, in Cortland, in the rooms where they have the bar and the mirrors and stuff, we were, that was dance class. But
Jordy, did you take dance there?
Only at Dark Horse.
Well, Jordy wasn't a PE. Jordan wasn't a PE major.
No, I was
so yeah, but no, so it's good. And then here it is, So then the year after, I did 10 years of varsity boys basketball in the Suburban Council and volleyball. And then in '97, you're kind of thinking, okay, I want to take this volleyball thing a little bit farther. We had made our first Final Four in '95, played Christian Leitner's sister.
That's wild.
Yeah. And in the state semis.
But what did you just grow to really start to enjoy the sport and coaching volleyball?
I think
because you said you were football, baseball, basketball.
Yeah, and I still love them, and I still, I did that 10 years of basketball, and I've been back. In fact, a couple years ago, I did our varsity girls for a couple years, and just had a blast, and love teaching the game. But volleyball just became something I think it was new. I think it was something that I just enjoyed. I love the strategy. I love calling serves. I love just all that stuff. And I could build a program, and we started with young kids, getting young kids to play. And it was just that 97 we had our first club team, our first, I know it's like AAU, but our first club team of 7 kids. And, and then I decided to move from the high school to the middle school and gave up basketball. And, then now it's what we do now. Now my kids, they coach volleyball all the time and just enjoy it. But it was great to, as you say, why. I think there's something about volleyball that just, I love the opportunity. I love, when you're coaching basketball, you're up with 20 with 2 to go, you're one.
Right.
Yeah.
If you can be up. I mean, we were down 24-19 game 1 of the state championship this year, and we got it to 23, and it was crazy.
Because volleyball at the varsity level is how many sets are you playing?
Best of 5.
It's best of 5.
And the last one is to 15.
15,
right?
yeah.
Because I remember I went to, I think it was a Boston Spa, Saratoga or Shaker. I can't remember. It was a blue and white team. And they went to the 5th set. Boston Spa was up like 11-2 and then lost. Because they lost their serve and the other person was just hitting a perfect serve almost every time.
You can see that because why? Somebody just gets hot, a team just gets...
Yeah, you get...
Or the team gets tight.
And they think... Then you're like... So here's the best part of that. Excuse me, as a coach. You feel like if you call timeout, you've added to their momentum, right? So you kind of wait, give yourself, okay, one more point, because if I call timeout, they're going to go crazy. Those are the fun parts, and I love to take some points back over the years, calling serves on state championship points, and there are things that you'd like to take back. I mean, like I feel real bad. Big Notre Dame fan and just beyond excited after the win last night, but you kind of feel bad for Penn State quarterback. That threw that ball.
Yeah.
Because I've been there. And I know we discussed yesterday.
Yeah, so you said there was one kind of event that triggered you or sparked you to really say, I want to elevate this program.
Just absolutely changed my life forever. And so, we're just kind of growing through and we're getting some kids now, kids that have played since the 6th grade, and we're getting good. And year 2000, we go to Horseheads, New York, to play in the state quarterfinal. Old scoring then. We just were starting the beginning of the switch, the rally. Yeah. So
explain that to me.
So you had to serve to score in the old days. So, so we're playing and we're up 2-0, 14-11, and lost. And my kids are like this. And in game 4, they're like, oh my gosh, and I'm like, what am I going to do? I got to get them back. I got to do something crazy to get them back. And I'm thinking so much that at the beginning of game 5, I put the wrong lineup in. And I cost my girls the chance at state Final 4. And I say it's my therapy to talk about it. But even today, however many years later, you have to hand in a lineup, and the ref checks that you're all in those 6 spots. And even today, I shake until even though I can write it, I give it to my daughter-in-law, who's my assistant, who, and what does it look like? Good, because it made such I never do a Bill Buckner joke. I never do a Scott Norwood joke. I mean, and I feel for those people because none of it was done on purpose. Right. He didn't, we're all this morning, we're all kind of, whatever. Thanks for throwing at me. And I had 5 texts during that football game that we're too good not to have a turnover. Yeah. And they, 2 were taken away or whatever. But I mean, but still there's that time and you just feel for that kid and they were next to each other in the news conference at the end, and I remember the head coach just kind of on his shoulder because the kid was in tears, you know, and you know, and I think, you know, that it's important for us, as much as we compete, as much as we want to get to a level, you know, as much as we want to win a championship, as much as we want to do those things, that it's important for us to know that these are kids, that we're people, and we make mistakes, and, you know, but how are we going to react to that mistake? And I thought the way we reacted, I mean, I was a mess.
How did you submit the wrong lineup?
So you have to put in 6 in a row because they have to stay in that lineup at least till the serve and they can switch.
Right.
I mean, if you think about it, you don't want your 6'4" kid to be in the front row all the time.
Right.
I mean, that's the simplest explanation. So you do your thing, and I put a 1 by a 5. So 15 went where 5 was, and now you've played for 3 months. You pretty much know where you are, and now all of a sudden somebody's different next to you, and it was hard. I mean, I was in the hospital 3 days later, had my appendix out from stress. Just, I mean, beat myself up, but we said we'll never not be prepared again, and for anything. You know, I'll write the lineup and I'll put 3 copies in my backpack and just so I have it, or just not only just lineup stuff, but work harder to do as much as you can for kids. And you know what? Those kids are my friends today. They work for, you know, I teach with them. They coach for me. We call it the debacle. That's what we call it.
Yep.
But I think it's good to know, it's good for people to understand that it's hard. And, you know, like that kid, and back to that Penn State quarterback, because it's here and you're talking about it, but that's hard. It's something he'll never. So how will he react to that, right? And I think that's the biggest thing in sports and life is those things. Not everything's going to work out, but how are we going to react to that? Are we going to use that as a positive? Like Bill Buckner, that ball went through it, but he talks about it, and it's important. And I think for people to know that, you know, like I said, nothing's done on purpose, and it's been good. But that since then, you know, 22 straight Final Fours.
I guess that adjustment
9
worked.
state.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and it is. It's because of that work and that preparation.
How important do you feel like, because you mentioned in 97, I think you said, was the first travel program, you had 7 girls. How important do you feel like, and did you realize what you were doing then in terms of creating, having a youth program in the community to just introduce girls to the sport at a young age? And so by the time they get through high school and get to high school, it's like, I've been playing for a while. I'm loving the sport. I'm understanding how to play the sport. Did you kind of understand that type of a feeder program in terms of getting younger kids involved when that first started?
You knew that even in my little school, that was our basketball. It was Saturday morning basketball. I lived for it. You know, I mean, it was, you know, you have to miss Saturday morning cartoons, and this is the only time you could watch cartoons. But you'd go to back then, so you'd go to Saturday morning basketball. Just loved it. So I understood what the youth programs were, and when we started getting our kids, we were like one of the only ones in the area. I mean,
doing a youth volleyball program.
We had 12 and under volleyball, and the closest other club was Rochester.
Wow.
You know, I remember taking 10, 9, 10, 11-year-old girls to their first ever tournament, not even knowing. Like, we're talking about our building here in Clifton Park for tomorrow's tournament. We have 2 12-year-old teams, their first tournament, right? We're doing this in Buffalo at the hotel by an airport because we play down, you know, there the next day. And just wondering if they'll come back to practice Monday. But we were the ones that were doing it. And you see the benefits. You see not only the benefits of, the skill work that you get to teach them. And I did 12 and under volleyball with my club forever. That's what I did, you know, and I got, you know, and you talk to kids, you get them ready for what life is in volleyball. You know, I love the best part. You know, and you're on a run serving in volleyball, the coach is going to call timeout. He's going to try to ice you, right? I'll tell my 12 and under girls, do you know why he just called a timeout? No, because they want you to miss. You know, and that's important stuff with young kids. They need to start knowing that that's the part of the game, you know, and really we really got the benefits of those young kids. We have a thing called junior diggers that on Monday nights, grades 3 through 6, we have 50 kids play on badminton nets.
That's cool.
Beach balls. I mean, and what we do is we hold practice. It's held right after Monday's practice, so our varsity kids and JV kids get to work with them.
See, I think that's so important, too, to have that community and these girls who have these role models now that are playing the sport.
So important. And you guys have known some of our volleyball players and just unbelievable kids. And you know, for them to, you know, it's kind of funny. After pretty fortunate the success that we've had, but if I don't work, I don't get players. I mean, it is, if I don't have my summer camps and if I don't have things like that, I don't get players because I don't know. It's just not basketball. I don't know what it is.
Do you feel like that's a newer thing, though? Like kids have so many different opportunities to do so many different things that if you don't capture them with your sport at a younger age, they're off doing softball and doing soccer and doing other things.
Yeah, and we talk about this in our national high school committees about maybe shortening some of the club seasons, and because it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy, and we talk about that, and we say, hey, if you say I'm going to make volleyball season quicker or shorter, they're going to fill it with something else.
Right.
You know, we got kids over at my kids' building. And, you know, they're running from dance to softball they're doing things.
Is that a newer thing? Or do you feel
it's starting to be not over the last few years?
Okay, we feel the same way. I mean, you've been in this way longer than us, but we feel like just since maybe post-COVID, kids' schedules have really, really ramped up.
And it's tough. I mean, I think it's tough as a parent because I think you look at the opportunities to give kids to move. We hear all the time, you know, that's why great places like this and places that get kids to move. I mean, with the technology and everything, these are unbelievable for kids. And I think every parent understands the benefits of that. So I feel like there are opportunities to get people moving, to get people going, and they see that. And if they can fit it into their schedule, they're going to go, you know, and it's a challenge. And, you know, I think, you know, just talking about our high school at Burnt Hills that we've done is we have a pretty good job of working, because I think when you're talking about kids doing extra things and doing everything and getting involved in everything, it's okay.
Yeah, I think this is a good topic for us to talk about because we kind of rant on this in here a lot. We live in our own box in here. We are not affiliated with any team, any program. So we can see kids from all different sports, different travel teams, different high schools, and we see how crazy their schedule gets. And we see sometimes where either the demands a coach, whether it's high school or travel, put on a kid all year, it almost limits them from being able to do anything else. It's like if you want to play baseball on this team, you're locked into my fall ball team, my winter workouts, my summer team, no room for another sport, no room for other activities. And sometimes we're like, in terms of the long-term development physically and psychologically of that kid, it's probably not the best way to approach things. And Burnt Hills is a school, I feel like, Paul, that does a better job at, from the kids we see, allowing multi-sport, not locking in. I mean,
there's very few kids from Burnt Hills, I feel like, that don't play two sports.
Yeah, I mean, think when we opened this gym, Gary, in 2018, I moved back from Boston. We moved in with my in-laws down in Chatham until we could make sure this thing was going to work, save money to buy a house. But I'm almost fortunate that we had this period of time because I was able to meet so many families in here and so many kids. And I just see some of the craziness that happens at Shen and some other schools with their sports programs and just schedules. And I go, like these Burnt Hills families seem more of my vibe, like a little bit more of my vibe. And that's where we ended up buying our house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yes, that's where we're at, we're over by the middle school. But yeah, I guess circling back, in recent years, you've seen this just crazy. It's more of an increase in schedules.
It is, and you know what? And I think it used to be maybe this is volleyball is my sport, but boy, I really enjoy playing basketball, or I really enjoy running track, But now, you feel like if you're playing basketball, you need to be doing AAU.
Yeah.
And you need to be doing this, and you just can't just go play a sport, which people that do everything and then you go in and you're better than because some people are athletes.
Yep.
Yeah, and those are tough times. Those are tough conversations with people because they just can't understand that. That there are those athletes that happens to. I think when you talk about our school, I think one of the things, there's two things that are really important. One is over 70% of our kids in school play at least one sport.
Right.
Pretty good. We have to. We graduate 250 kids.
Yeah.
We're the smallest school in our league. If we're playing the big schools, we need to have our athletes playing at least two sports.
Right.
Great point.
And you won't have the participation. You just won't have people to field the team.
But we have things. We have a list of core values at our school that every coach gets, and we have our coaches work together. We will. I remember, you go to the basketball coach, you say, hey, there's a big club tournament. It's this weekend in January. Would you mind if they miss junior basketball that day? Or something like that. But I think the biggest thing is to be upfront with people, and I think our coaches do a really good job of, hey, but at we want to do this. This is a big thing for them college-wise, and we really want to play that sport, but we don't want, we don't want you to be mad or whatever. But I think with our coaches do a really good job in the culture of our school to not only understand that we have kids that want to play other sports, but we need kids to play other sports, and I say it all the time, I'll go out and speak and I'll talk to a lot of small schools and they say, oh, you graduate 250. Oh, they graduate 60 and whatever. But no, we have the same issue you do because we have 3 times as many sports and trying to keep them going and compete. And I'm going to tell you one of the greatest leagues in New York State. I think the Suburban Council, the athletic directors, the coaches, I think in the sport, it's taken a while for volleyball, and it's finally there.
The fullest gym I've ever seen at a high school game, when we weren't as busy, you know what I'm going to say, was one of your games versus Shen.
Yeah.
As full of as I've seen a high school gym for a sporting event.
We have kids that'll go play Division I and never play in that environment. It's an but do you know how that kind of started? We, in October 1990, so if you do the math, I'm 2 years into trying to learning the sport. We go to Shenandoah and lose. Boy, I was mad because I thought we could win. Didn't really know too much, still learning. But I remember saying to the kids afterwards, I said, we're never going to play like that again. And the next time we lost in the league was 2016. So it was 390 wins in a row. I know that now only because it's on. I never kept track, but there's a banner on my gym, so I see it every day. But
while you're mopping the floor,
but that was it. They started to get. Their program started to go with some really great players, and they had a couple chances, a couple that we won in 5, and then they beat us, and then since then, it's kind of crazy. I'm like, oh, they got this game going on in other sports, but the other kids tell it, can we go down to the game?
Yeah.
They don't do that for a lot of stuff. And I think it's great for volleyball. I think what we don't know here in this area, I think we're learning But for the 9th year in a row, volleyball is the #1 team sport in America. 492,000 girls play volleyball in this country. And
Where's it most popular? Midwest?
Well, it always was California, right?
Right.
Well, we were shoveling there, playing on a
Right.
beach, and now the Midwest has just exploded. I remember it was like major news because somebody east of the Mississippi won when Penn State won the national championship. Well, then they won the next 3, but since then, I mean, the Midwest is huge. Nebraska's sold out for 30 years, like some crazy thing. We were just down in Louisville at the Yum Center in Louisville for the Final Four, and just amazing. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that 6'5" girl would come into the front row and they'd take her out in the back row,
Yep.
right? Now, that 6'5" girl is leading the team in digs. I mean, they're just absolute crazy players.
Right.
And now the bigger girls are 6'9", 6'8", and can move. They can play, and it's such a great thing for the sport, but it's a challenge. And you know what? I understand my role in volleyball is to constantly promote our sport. So that's why we're doing things. That's why we're doing tournaments. That's why we're doing clinics, and but I really enjoy. I think that going back again, I kind of get sidetracked a little.
This is what we do. Welcome.
Yeah.
But
Welcome to the podcast.
But I think that multi-sport athlete it's important. It's important for us as coaches. I mean, is the multi-sport athlete or is the single sport pitcher now because of all the Tommy John surgeries?
It's a
I don't
component.
know. I mean, maybe that kid used to play hoops and
Right.
play something else, and now they're pitching year round. I don't know.
The supplement industry is like the Wild West. The lack of regulations mean the supplements you purchase may not even contain the ingredients listed on the label, which is why I get my daily vitamins and supplements from Thorne. Thorne vitamins and supplements are made without compromise. Quality ingredients ensure your body optimally absorbs and digests your daily supplements, while in-house and third-party testing ensure you're getting exactly what you paid for. Thorne offers a variety of health tests reviewed by board-certified physicians that evaluate your lifestyle, gut health, sleep, stress hormones, and metabolic markers to determine which vitamins and supplements may be most effective in helping you feel and perform better throughout the day. For college and professional athletes, Thorne has NSF-certified supplements that make sure you won't get pop positive on a drug test. Whether you're an athlete, professional, parent, grandparent, or weekend warrior, Thorne's selection of high-quality supplements can help improve your quality of life. Switch to Thorne's high-quality and extensively tested supplements today at thorne.com/u/CDSF. That's thorne.com/u/CDSF. This episode of Off Exit 10 is brought to you by Bombas. Bombas makes my favorite pair of socks, hands down, alongside the most comfortable and durable underwear, t-shirts, and other everyday clothing staples. Their wide variety of sock lengths, colors, and patterns have you covered, whether you're working out, going out, or lounging at home. I love their merino wool blend athletic ankle sock for long days of coaching at CDSF and getting in workouts myself. And if I'm at home doing work around the house, you better believe I'm wearing my Bombas Sunday slippers with their comfy memory foam midsole. And when you buy from Bombas, you're also buying for those in need. For every item you purchase, Bombas donates one item to people in overnight shelters, transitional living facilities, rehab centers, Title I schools, and medical service professionals. Take my word, if you want to upgrade your sock game to one that's more comfortable, durable, fashionable, and charitable, head over to the Bombas link in this episode's description to browse their full collection of everyday wear, and don't forget to use code CDSF20 for 20% off your first order. From us in here, from a physical preparation standpoint, the multi-athlete is nice because kids can handle a lot. They could do a lot. Mm-hmm. But when they do a lot of the same thing, and it's the same load to the same tissues in your body over and over again without proper recovery, things are going to break down. Where if I'm doing a little bit of baseball throwing and then playing basketball and then playing soccer or football, I'm active, but I'm letting one area of my body recover. I'm challenging another area. Skills are transferring to each other. Yeah, what would you, because you've probably heard stories, and we hear stories in here with like, I had to stop playing basketball because I needed to do, some winter baseball workouts. And my basketball coach said, you can't do both. And then leave.
And those are horror stories. Those are horror stories that you hear from all around the country. you hear from, young coaches. I'm kind of now that old coach that hears from the young coaches, and, and I understand both sides of it. You're a coach. You want to have a good program,
Right.
and you understand the level of competition and the skill work that needs to be done and the strength work that needs to be done. And number one thing, I don't know, I know you hear this, number one thing I hear when freshmen come back of their first year of college, I wish I did this sooner.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we
right?
see that a lot in here. The way we structure our training programs, we'll match a good collegiate strength training program with a quality coach, and they go, "Oh my gosh, I was the strongest freshman there. I knew all my technique."
Yeah.
But that's powerful.
Or you'll get like a kid that never has an off season because they're playing year round, and then they go into college, they come back, and they're like, "Wow, I wish I took a little bit of time to just do weight training and a little bit of an off season and do just a little bit of skill work and less playing, practicing, and all that kind of stuff." And I had a conversation with a girl recently about an off season. She's like, "An off season?" I was like, "Yeah, when you're in college and you're playing college softball, you're gonna have an off season to be able to like work out and
Yeah,
like
this
get
is the
stronger."
difference now. When I first started working in this field in 2010, you pretty much with a lot of kids had like a good 2 or 3 months where it was their off season. They weren't competing much. They weren't doing a lot with their sports. You could really get after it in the weight room.
I remember the day where you lifted during basketball season, you'd be kicked off.
Yeah.
I mean, you were messing up your shot.
Yeah. And
And then I say Michael Jordan changed it.
Yeah,
I really thought he was one of the first people to really like in season stuff. And
Did you watch that documentary, The Last
yeah,
Dance?
yeah. I mean, it's great. I mean, there you go. There's something you tell kids. He was cut from his JV team.
Right.
Became one of the best ever. But yeah, and I think it's a constant thing. But I'm a big communication guy.
Think about life. Think about your personal relationships with your athletes, with your colleagues. It's like if shit goes wrong, there was some prior to that time where it went wrong. There was some communication mishap.
Yeah.
At some point along the way.
I mean, we see it in here with kids when like a kid will come in and tell us something's bothering them, and they're like, "Well, when did it start bothering you?" "Oh, like 2 months ago."
Well,
then why is this the first time I'm hearing about it?
because with kids doing so much, how have you dealt with just learning like what all your athletes are doing during the week? Because most are probably doing stuff outside of you as well, correct?
Yeah, and I will say this that my assistant, who again is my daughter-in-law Lauren, she teaches in the high school, so she works a lot with the kids, or they'll come to her during the day. These kids got a lot going on, and we never, all we ask, and I'll tell you this, people say, my kids laugh when I call it the secret sauce, because that's kind of the thing, right? Lately it's like, what's your secret sauce? Well, what we do is teach volleyball second. That is not our goal. Our goal is for you to be a good member of the school district, be a good member of this community. I don't care how high your grades are, as long as you're doing the best you can. Be a role model for our younger kids. Let's do all that stuff. And okay, let's work on this skill today. And it's huge. It's a culture that it's built, and people want to know, well, how they do it, or Coach Bynon's the one that never lets his kids do anything but volleyball. And the kids tell me, we laugh, it's like this crazy place that's no way, not at all. I love having fun and we have our fun with our kids, but they also understand that they got a lot, it's a tradition thing. And
don't you have to find this blend? Because in here, we have 5 coaches. We're all very much on the same page, but our personalities are a little bit different. If you say who's the softest one, who's going to be more lenient with shit, it's probably me. Paul,
Connor.
Maloney. The Maloney's are too nice.
They're too nice.
Maloney's are too nice. Connor and then me, but you and Dan a little bit more stern. But I think, in today's times, the old school, just strict, disciplinarian, not listening, my way or the highway, kids aren't as receptive to it, and that's fair. But finding this blend of like, we need to have structure and good principles to work by and work ethic, but also listen and have empathy.
I was going to say, I think you need to speak and have empathy, but when you have empathy, you also have to speak with a purpose. Like, you can't just be empathetic to the point where you're a pushover and you let the kid do whatever they want, and essentially. But you're empathetic and understanding what they're going through.
Have you had to
but
find
then you speak
striking
with a purpose.
striking a balance with this?
I number one, I'm going to say this. If you're a 58-year-old coach and been in the business for 35 years and you're still using the excuse of being an old coach, you ain't doing your job. Because it's up to you to keep up with whatever. Right. There's probably some video out there of 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when we had a team, probably one of the craziest days we ever had in our state semifinal, which is a pool play thing where it's like a little tournament, and we win. And we're going to state final, and nobody thought it. I think I was doing the gritty.
It's on video, you hitting the gritty?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'd love
the gritty. And since I'm a Viking fan, I was early with J.J. Jefferson doing it. But I think it's good to know. And those kids, I'll tell you, you
Jordan,
go down. You
Google Gary Bynon gritty.
But I think it's important. You know, it's like I'll tell a kid, hey, you do it. I'll do the gritty.
They didn't teach that in Cortland dance class, did they?
No, not at all. but that you got to know what's going on, you know. And I'm a classic rock, old country music from my dairy farm days and all that stuff, right? But I always tell my students I'm the oldest Imagine Dragons fan in Burnt Hills, you know. But I think these are things that you have to.
It's probably not out there, Paul.
No, it's on NFHS, which is the high school sports thing. It's just our circle after the game is what it is. But
was it 2023? Or was it earlier than that?
It was 22.
22? Okay.
22 against, we played Cornwall in the third semifinal. So anyway, but I think it's your job to, as a coach, to keep up with what's going on and to work with each kid. To me, there's 4 parts of teams. And you as a leader of that group have to know who the leader is, who the doer is, the person that just will work, the dreamer, and what we call the fish, the people that we have to reel in to make our team successful.
Say those 4 again. This is good.
It's the leader, which is easy, right? I always think of, when I explain this, I think, remember those conferences, they put you with a tripod and a magic marker on a white piece of paper, you know, and so you get a bunch of 10 people together, right? Who's the first person that steps up? That's your leader. And then you got your dreamers like, hey, what about this? But don't want to know anything else, right? But comes up with great ideas. But you got to bring that idea out of them because they'd rather just not say anything. But they have great ideas. There's the doer that'll just come out and, hey, what bulwark do you need done now? Because I'll do that. I don't need to do this leader stuff, whatever. But then you got that person, right? That person on that team or in that group that just kind of, they're waiting for someone to find something good with them. They're waiting for someone to help them to belong. We always call them the fish because you have to reel them into your team. And I think if you can do that, and I think it's important, you go into a workout, you go into a practice, hey, there's that kid. I got to get that kid today. And I'll say, hey, what are you doing? Or what's going on? Or I heard that this, or, you know, or how was your test? You know, but these are the kids that you got to bring in. And
Paul, relatable,
you know,
yeah?
Super relatable. Like
right? You can find those 4 people.
I can think of kids right off the top of my head that we've talked about
we
recently.
have a group in here, and you go, here's those 3 quiet kids who may be a little bit shy coming in here, haven't worked out before, intimidated, but we got to pull their personalities out, get them to enjoy it in here, get them.
And then sometimes you're like, can I put that back in the box a little bit? Like, just a little.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, and you're going and you're in a practice, and I think you kind of see what the kid has had today. You know what went on, and you feel like they kind of need that, or they're just kind of back there, and like, hey, maybe they demonstrate. right? And hey, look what they just did, and it's like, whoa, and I think that's so important. We as coaches and leaders of groups need to make sure that whatever these kids are, that we pull them into that group and make that group. I tell people that I don't know what your job is, but my job is getting 15 teenage girls to think the same for 3 months. And
to get along.
Yeah, and that's what I said, though. I said, I don't care how you are out there, but for 2 hours a day, you're BFFs, and that's what we do. And I think, I think as the years go on, they understand that part of the program. But it's a challenge. But you know what? You're a coach, you're a leader. That's your job.
Yeah.
The people that come out there and well, back in the old days, back in the old days, what? I don't know. Right now, I'm teaching these kids that need a leader.
Right.
And I think that's important. And I think it's so important the longer you're in it to how can you relate to the kids. And I'm going to tell you, we joke about that gritty thing, but I'll figure something out and I say, wait a minute. Because for a while when the gritty was like, kids be like everywhere.
They'd be walking down the hall.
They'd be walking down the hall just grittying.
Instead of walking.
And I remember that first time I stopped, I go, not a bad gritty. And they thought that was the greatest thing in the world. And so from then on, it was kind of the thing, and hey, you win? Can you gritty Coach Bynon? Well, if you win the section championship, I'll do that or something like that. But I think it's important to know, you get that kid in school, that student in school or a player and, has got the classic rock T-shirt on and you're like, hey, you're an Iron Maiden fan. Like, what? You know who Iron Maiden is? Yeah. You know what I mean? But you need to take time as educators, as coaches, as leaders of groups to know your kids and know what they're going through during the day because that's what it is.
Well, I think also like one of my favorite coaches in professional sports is Mike Tomlin. Oh. And he talked about this on a different podcast, but a lot of coaches run from coaching. They want the perfect situation as opposed to like, okay, let me take this imperfect situation and make the most out of it and potentially make it the right situation. And that's where, or take this kid that maybe, he's a goofball that's not paying attention all the time, that's goofing off, but you see some potential in him and you're like, let me coach him up. Let me get him to understand accountability, get him to understand why he needs to do certain things, as opposed to just being like, all right, let me write this kid off and bring in somebody else that can fill that role. Don't run from coaching. If you're a coach, be a coach.
Well, and I don't know what we're teaching with the portal, but that'll be that thing, I mean,
You're talking about transfer portal?
Yeah, it's I don't know. And everybody has their own situation, and I don't like to get into because I just feel I think all we want kids to do is get better and try to work at it, and and I think it's hard, and I think it's hard that things like that. But I love Tomlin. I love listening to great people. I was a Bud Grant fan. I don't know. I was telling somebody the other day. So the Mall of America in Minneapolis is on top of where old Metropolitan Stadium used to be. The Twins' home plate is in the middle of the Mall of America.
Oh, that's sick.
But the Vikings played at Metropolitan Stadium, and both teams were on the same sideline. Yeah, I mean, but he was like a guy. He was like my first coach. We talked about this at a presentation I did in Louisville a couple weeks ago. That he was the first guy that I could remember that I want to be like him. I want to be like the coach that you're not wearing gloves. We play outside. But Alan Page, the Purple People Eaters, to this day, there was a playoff game that the Vikings missed a 28-yard field goal to win it against Seattle. It was -6 before the wind. And Bud Grant was 92 at the time. and was the honorary coin flipper and came out in short sleeves. I mean, but, it's like, that's my guy, and like John Wooden and just people that cared about culture, cared about the kid, cared about academics, cared about, Lou Holtz. I mean, these people were people that I wanted to be like.
Coach K is the guy that comes to my mind right
Coach
away.
K.
Coach K and Gino Auriemma from our
You want to hear
era.
a great Coach K story?
Please.
Of course.
Basketball. Now, Coach K played for Bobby Knight at Army.
Yeah.
So every day, Coach K comes into practice, and they did the zigzag defensive drill, right? Where you dribble left, you dribble right, and you guard them. It's a little offensive thing, but it's a defensive thing too. So for 4 years, Coach K does that at Army. Well, now Indiana's 31-0. Quinn Buckner, the best player in the country at Indiana, and he becomes, I don't know if it's a grad assistant or assistant, and he's like, Coach K says, I'm fired up. For that first practice, when Coach Knight does the zigzag defensive drill, I'm going crazy. He's going to know that I'm going to be a good coach, that I am a good coach. First practice goes through, nothing. Never did it. Second practice, same thing. Third practice, no zigzag defensive drill. So they're in the locker room afterwards, and he says, Coach K, I have a question. I was at Army for 4 years, and every day did the zigzag defensive drill. I've been here for 3 practices in Indiana. Nothing. He says, well, Michael, you're no Quinn Buckner.
It's fair.
Mike Krzyzewski had to do, and I think about that story all the time when you have those teams. You can't just do what you did. You as a coach, and in your business too, right? You have that unbelievable kid that that's a level. We need to take them to this level.
Yeah.
And there are different levels. So the lower level still does the best they can. That's okay. But as a coach, as a leader, I always remember that story. It was a Wolf Road Holiday Inn. There was a basketball clinic in like 1990, and he told that story, and it always has resonated with me because I'll figure it out. I'm like, man, they look bored. Oh, that's right, because they're good at what we're doing. What am I going to do? I don't need to be 37 years old and flying down to 4 days of a convention in Louisville. No, because I came back excited.
Yeah.
I came back excited, and because I found some stuff, and I can't wait to do it, and I think, it's important when you're looking at your group and the groups that you're working with to look at them and say, hey, I'm just not going to be the same me. They don't want you. They want you to be you, but they really appreciate when something's done a little different or they go to another level, and even 12-year-olds, we teach them the offensive stuff that they're going to do when they're seniors. They don't do it as good. They do it a lot slower. But all I'm trying to do is get them better in the next 6 years.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important. Well, I had to always tell that because there are certain stories that, that I always use as I coach. And that was always a big one. And, you were no Quinn Buckner. Well, not too many people were back then.
No.
What don't you like about the transfer portal? It's just the Wild West now. It's like free agency for college sports.
Yeah. And so I think there's the two simple ways to look at it, right? Are number one, colleges are making money. The NCAA is making money. So I thought a real good stat was, so the big thing is now, it's kind of funny now. Notre Dame they didn't really care whether they were independent, but now all of a sudden, watch out.
They
right?
want to be independent.
Well, yeah. Well, they want to be independent because before last night, they had already made $14 million in the college football playoff, and they got it all.
Right, because they don't have to split it with the conference.
The other team has to split it. So I understand there's money. Money is going out, and money is and whatever. So I can understand that. And they're getting $70,000 a kid of tuition. I mean, there's money out there.
So kids getting some money, cool.
Yeah, so here's the kids. Here's the kids saying, hey, wait a minute. yeah, sure, I'm getting a free education, which, you know what? That's pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking these days of $300,000 for an education at these good schools.
Right.
So I see that money part of it, that the kids, the NIL, the opportunity to do that. I totally see that. I get concerned because I'm a person that likes to have a kid. Okay, I see he's going to be better than me, and I'm not going to have a chance, so I'm leaving. Like, why? I don't. Whatever happened with, okay, today, instead of entering the portal after last night, I'm going to get better.
Right.
And I'm going to prove them wrong.
I think you have that side of it, right?
yep.
I'm getting no playing time. I'm gone. Or we had Dan Gableman on here. He's a union strength coach, works with our hockey team primarily. Yeah. But he said, I don't know if we'll ever win a national championship again, because if I have a couple really good freshmen and they're studs and they perform, they're gone next year.
Yeah, they're going to a bigger school.
They're going to a bigger school.
Well,
so I have no chance to build a program here at this more of a mid-major, smaller school.
And I think that's where, like, with the NIL, it's turned into more of, like you said, free agency.
Well, what about JUCOs not counting for eligibility now?
That's my gosh. It's like, really? It's college, and I worry about because, yeah, sure, they're going to have their life after sports, but their life is their degree.
Yeah.
And I remember the days when, hey, I'm going to North Carolina. Not going to play for 4 years, but at the top of my resume is North Carolina playing for Dean Smith.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm gonna go here, and.
But what you do at the higher levels with, well, it was Lakeside, now it's Spa City, right?
Yeah.
Is that how you got?
Yep.
But these higher level girls, I mean, the motivation has to be to find a college for them and try to get some scholarship money. Correct.
I think that's one of the favorite part of my jobs is getting those matches.
Yeah.
Talk
to me about what's going through your head in terms of finding the right tournaments, making the right connections, helping them find the right match. Because we see kids go to schools sometimes in here, and they may, because they wanted to go D1, they found a D1 that would take them, never played, redshirted, hated other aspects of the school.
Or even, like, just thinking about what you said of how a kid who's playing Burnt Hills Volleyball never gets that same environment in the gym at a Division I level. Like, I heard Max Crosby plays for the Raiders, and he played in Texas football, and then he went to some small Division I school, and he's like, this is college? Like, so then you get that feeling, and you're like, wait a minute, is this really what I want to do at a small, whereas you could maybe go to a Division II or Division III school and get the same type of energy in the gym that you got in high school, and you're like, that's what I want.
Yeah, what's going through, how are you helping people find these right matches for them? That's so
important. I think it's really cool, and to me, it is, because, we have certain things. I use a thing called field level. It's an opportunity to get some kids' names out there and communicate with coaches. I mean, so we have a little bit of a network. Me at 37 years, my son Mike, who runs the club Spa City, coach at Williams, coach at Coast Guard, and my son Matthew, who runs the building along as another building with 28 teams in Lowell, Mass. He's been a Division I assistant, and my daughter, who's the Skidmore head coach. So we have those networks. We have that, like we'll get calls from like major Division I schools that we know coaches, and hey, we got this email from this kid. Is there something, or what do you think? Because we know you're going to tell us what it is, and because I think it's right. I mean, too many people think the big and want to say, look at where I'm going, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work out.
Yeah, is social media part of the driver of that for kids?
I think so. I mean, anytime you can get out there and communicate and get out there and find that opportunity to do that. But sure, that's totally changed a lot of different things, with the sport thing. But I think you look at what these kids do, right? And one of the first things I tell any of my players, so you want to be a teacher? Because you put them in charge of 10 third graders and it's done.
Yeah.
And things are happening, and why don't you watch your summers off? I'll tell them, but I think it's, you look at what's a good mix and trying to find the level and to try to get them to do the level. And, we have certain rules we tell our kids, you go out to your college and say, I love that college and I would love that college if it didn't have, and volleyball didn't work out.
Paul says this all the time.
I say that to kids all the time.
Right?
Yeah.
Like word for word, basically the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't work out, what do you
Do you want to be there?
Do you want to be there? And too many people kind of, and that's when things what happens. But you know what? I've there's things where things haven't worked out, and and I look back and like I said, and I'm just a humble small town guy who feels fortunate and blessed, 100%. But we get to have banners and we get to have those things. But also I got my best player, one of my top seniors from this year. She's ecstatic because she's going to school in Tennessee because that's all she wants to be is a vet.
Yeah.
That she wasn't even going to play if it didn't work out with finding a vet school. And a player that's Texas Teacher of the Year, someone who runs their own club, who's a teacher that I work with. These are the things that you coach for. The other stuff, it's awesome. But to hopefully help a kid, get out there and be successful because of a place where they went, and it's huge. But I'll tell you, it's a challenge because there are things out there. Hey, for $2,000, we'll get you looked at.
Okay, because that world's changed a lot too. I mean, I think we were immersed, or we were for a while, more in the baseball realm, and you see differences in programs. You start to just by seeing kids going through where some programs are, hey, I want to really develop you. I want to work on you as a person and find the right match for college. You see some where you go, oh, they're just grabbing money from you right here. You're doing this showcase. You're paying for this. You're paying for that.
They're just trying to get you signed to D1 so that they can market that and then get more kids that are going to pay money for something that maybe isn't the right fit for them.
But it's like, parents could throw money endlessly. It's how do you even educate them? And this is, and every kid's a little bit different probably in terms of what they need, in terms of strength training, skill work, actually just competing and playing games, going to a showcase, not going to there's so many things. This episode of Off Exit 10 is brought to you by Anchor and the all-new Anchor Pro, crafted to endure the most high-performance workouts without the high cost and space requirements of a standard cable machine. Named the best portable cable machine by Men's Health Home Gym Awards, Anchor provides the full functionality of a cable machine in one small space-saving unit. Designed with user-friendliness in mind, Anchor can simply be attached to any squat rack or placed on any wall in your home gym using its intuitive sliding track mount. With up to 65 pounds of resistance, Anchor is built for high speed and controlled exercises alike, from cable presses and rows to chops and lifts. The Anchor has been a game changer for us here at CDSF, and now you can enjoy the same professional quality cable machine in your own home gym by heading over to anchortraining.com and using code CDSF10 for 10% off your order today. Get all the benefits of a cable machine without the high cost and installation fees. Enjoy the portable luxury and space-saving performance of Anchor today by going to anchortraining.com and using code CDSF10 at checkout. That's anchortraining.com, promo code CDSF10 for 10% off your order today. This episode of Off Exit 10 is brought to you by Drink Alchemy. Fatigue and brain fog affect us all, destroying everything we pursue. Whether as an athlete, artist, creator, or entrepreneur, our mind holds the key to performing optimally. By combining the most potent organic nootropics found in nature, Drink Alchemy delivers sustainable boost to creativity, memory, energy, and focus in one epic beverage. Stop pumping your body full of excessive amounts of caffeine and unknown proprietary blends from other energy drinks, and get clean energy from Drink Alchemy's natural nootropics like lion's mane, L-theanine, and caffeine from green tea. Used by Olympians, D1 athletes, MMA fighters, and entrepreneurs, Drink Alchemy has become a huge part of my daily routine. making sure I'm functioning optimally during long days of coaching athletes, running CDSF, and getting in quality workouts myself. So do yourself a favor and ditch the energy drinks loaded with caffeine, other stimulants, and who knows what else, and head over to drinkalchemy.com today. Live with your mind unbound and save 10% off your order by using code CDSF at checkout. That's drinkalchemy.com, promo code CDSF for 10% off your order today.
Here is my new thing. Because I love the club atmosphere, what my kids do and what they do developing. And
Did you foresee the club world becoming what it is when...
No. You saw it. I mean, so we would go down to Penn State on, they throw they had 75 courts at different places at Penn State for Memorial Day weekend. And, but you had to go. Now there's 10 of them across the country, these convention center tournaments. I mean, Boston, that was nothing. Now there's 96 courts, 2 weekends.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think it's, I think when you look at the club thing and the out-of-system thing, and if you're a parent and you're looking for the right fit for your kid, I'm listening as a parent at, you're going to get me, are you going to get me better? Right? Or are we just going to go places? All right? Number one, get me better. And number two, don't be afraid to teach my kid what it means to be a teammate. These are things that, as someone that you're looking for in a club situation, that you want your kid to do that. And
I think that's good to be communicated, because you may think, I'm paying all this money, I want it just to be my kid, focused on my kid, what's best for my kid, and you lose what sports is about.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and it is, and you look at it, and oh my gosh, you just see how different clubs are run,
Right.
And that's okay. They're all doing their thing. God bless them. They're out there spending weekends, and you know what? You should be paid for what you do. That when you're talking about the money part and the club thing and the AAU thing, that's because that is a unbelievable service that you're doing for kids, because you're getting them better, you're working with, but those little things, when you're picking a club, or what are they going to teach my kids other than that sport?
What are you getting out of it?
Yep.
Like, what are you paying for? That's like, I've had a conversation with some parents, or just in general on here, we've talked about, like, what are you paying for when you sign your kid up? Mike, I know Mike's brought this up, especially being a father now and whatnot, when he's signing, his daughter up for something. It's like, well, what am I getting out of this? Am I actually signing her up for something that's beneficial, or is it like just them trying to get money to have my kid there type thing? And I think that's where you have to understand that. And then when you're talking to a kid, like, 2 things you can always control: attitude and effort. Like, those are the 2 things you can control no matter what. No matter if you dislike the coach, you dislike this, you can always control attitude and effort. And those are the 2 things that, I talk to kids and been saying more and more to kids in here, is just like, hey, what are the things you can control? They're like, they think about it. They may not say exactly attitude and effort, but they say it in different words. And I'm like, yeah, those are the 2 things that you can focus on. And like, just keep doing that, and everything else is going to work itself out.
And I think sometimes people just forget that piece of it. I mean, they're like, they, and I watch them like, really, that's not really good. We need to be teaching our kids all the time, and I'm just a stickler for being a good teammate and respecting the other team, and that's not a bad thing. It's not and I think sometimes people let things go because they think that's going to let people have fun. And when people have fun, they're going to tell their friends, and everybody's going to have fun, and just sign that check, but what are we going to do as a training facility to teach those kids the teamwork stuff and leadership stuff? And I really, I think, because it can be done, and I think that, I think as parents, and you're out there, whether you shop for the right place to be, those are things that you need to look at. And I know when people say, hey, we've got a lot of things going on, or Coach Bynon's doing this, or the volleyball team's doing this, oh yeah, I've heard. and pretty much it's going to be good things. And it's, the volleyball piece, but the communication and the great things that they do with in the school and with younger kids. So I think those things are so important. And I tell you, but every day is a challenge because, so here's that mix between, high school where you're not paying anything.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then you're paying something here for an AAU team, and I think, those, but, I know a lot of people, oh, no, another parent call, right? Another parent call. But everything I do has been thought of, so if you call and have a question, whether that is a complaint or a question, I have the answer because I've thought about everything that I could do to get your kid to the next level. And I don't care if you're the fish or the leader, and every one of those kids, I've thought in my mind, how can I get them better? So any question, that you can ask, I answer because I'm not trying to, that's my job, right? That's what we do, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. How'd your facility now? It's brand new, right?
Yeah. We got the key. I say it is. It's my kids are just fantastic with what we do. And you got to understand, since 1997, we're trying to find places to practice.
Yeah.
I mean,
where were you? So where were you before this practicing?
Burn Mills Middle School, high school, Stevens Elementary, Saratoga Rec, Gavin Park, Malta Community Center, Union in the old days. I mean, everywhere.
Yeah.
And making sure that everybody has volleyballs.
Yeah.
Or, or just all that stuff, just traveling. And we actually started this in 2008. That was the economic times. We were really close. Then we were really close to the building in Burnt Hills, but that didn't work out. And then just said, okay, let's start looking for warehouse space. And so I think with everything new, because, you assembled windows in this place, and now we're teaching volleyball, and got the code to open the door October 12th. My son Matthew had stored 3 sport courts outside at his place in Lowell. That morning, it was Columbus Day, they drove a car out, 3 of them, and they got people out there, loaded 2 courts, and drove 2 U-Hauls back and started putting courts together. And, it's a great place. It's a great place to have. And now we have Capital Sliders, which is the guys' club from Shen, and people from other schools play too, and they're unbelievable teachers of the game and great guys. And so they're a part of that. So Monday through Friday, from 3 till it's full, and excited. I mean, excited for the kids to do this. Excited for volleyball because it's just another opportunity. We can do lessons now.
Yeah.
Right.
We could never do lessons because
Finding a spot to do them is
or it's 60 an hour for a lesson, but the place you're renting
It's
wants
gonna
70.
charge.
Right.
But the lighting, this industrial space is the move. You're paying less per square foot. You don't need the foot traffic for leads. People know who you are.
Yeah.
They're gonna come in. It's the high ceilings. Well, for volleyball, that's a necessity.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Right.
And it's had to switch out all the fluorescent lights though because of volleyball. So they're all had a parent whose daughter plays for us came in and switched out all lights, caged with LEDs.
Oh, LEDs is going to save you some money, though. I learned that one.
But yeah, so no, it's that fun part of it, but it's another opportunity for us that where we've been stuck with, well, we don't have any space to, okay, here's the space we want, and we can do what we want.
And all right, what made you rebrand from Lakeside to Spa City?
I think there were some times it was time for me to, so my son Matthew's club in Lowell, they're the Mill City.
He's in Massachusetts, Lowell, Mass.
Yeah, Lowell. So he went to school out there called Riviere. And so he owns 28 teams out there, and his they're the Mill City, and we wanted to all just work together, I think, back and forth, and love Saratoga County, and so it was just that good. And like I said, I'm good. I remember when it was the Burn Hills Volleyball Club, and we sat down we had 7 coaches in the cafeteria, and we said, okay, let's do a schedule. All right, let's see. There's the Whoosh Bowl that we could go to at the end of January. No. It's Super Bowl Sunday. Okay. But let's see. Let's get to May. Cortland, there's a tournament at Cortland on Mother's Day. Great, let's go. Of course. Excuse me. But, yeah, I mean, but it's come that far, and I think the biggest thing, we're excited. I still own and run one of the best volleyball camps in the Northeast up in Vermont at Castleton College. It's called Spike Mountain. And we just put it online this morning. It'll be sold out by next week. 300 kids.
Jesus.
But we started that when, number one, the college didn't have a college team. Castleton. And Vermont didn't have high school girls volleyball. They didn't start high school girls volleyball in Vermont till 5 years ago. They're the last state in the union. So we would, but it's kind of perfect for people from here. We get our kids from downstate or something. They'll come up and drop their kids off for a couple of days and go to the mountains or something. But yeah, it's what we do. But the one thing that I look forward to as I begin to slow down, I'm a fan. Right? I mean, I just like being a fan.
By slow down, you mean coaching less?
Yeah, a little coaching less. And like I said, it hit my wife and I this year between Penn State, Pittsburgh, and now we go to Mohegan. They have a big tournament out there. But we built our house in '99 and COVID. Those are the 2 weekends that we were home on Memorial Day weekend since '97.
Those the only 2 weekends?
Only 2 Memorial Day weekends. I mean, and it gets to be that time, and maybe we head out to Mohegan. I mean, I got to tell you, you leave at 3 o'clock on a Friday. We used to go to Pittsburgh for 10 years. Fun town, great place. Had so much fun out there. East Coast championships. But now you're getting on the road at 3, driving, you're home at 11, go to school the next day, and don't not be in school. But yeah, so it's just I enjoy going over and watching practice. Sometimes I stand up and say something because I think it's important. Like I'll tell my kids, I might raise my voice once in a while, but if I don't, you better start get nervous because it's time.
Right.
And I think it's important.
Yeah.
The kids that we get to work with, and they are kids. We're just, all of us that work with them are just trying to be a positive part in their life, and we're all here because we either had a dream and somebody helped us get that dream, or and you wanted to be like somebody, or sometimes I think we need to get our kids to dream a little bit more. At this presentation that I just did in Louisville, I do a half hour of videos, like Lou Gehrig's last speech in Yankee Stadium, and Abbott and Costello, who's on first. I mean, like these great things that have stood the test of time.
My favorite sports coach speech? We played it on here once. Jay, who's the baseball coach who's pissed that nobody shows up to their games?
It's the Cubs, or it's a Chicago guy, I think.
Jay,
it's gotta
Jay,
be
look
Cubs.
it up.
I'm gonna find it.
Find it, and we're gonna
find it.
This is my favorite coaching rant of all time. The Cubs, I don't know what the time period is, but they must lose a day game at home,
And nobody's there.
And the reporter is ripping the players, and the coach stands up for his players. Jordy's gonna find it right here. This is my favorite. Did you find the guy's name?
Lee Elliott.
Lee Elliott.
Oh, yeah?
You know him?
Yeah.
Yeah, ready? This is you know this speech?
I've heard it.
Give me a moment to find the video.
Yeah, this is great. But Who are your biggest idols coaching wise? Who are people you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are just. I thought the two people that coached me in high school. I thought, like, I was kind of that kid, right? That was always in the gym. Was like, hey, I got to study all. Can I come down and help?
Yeah.
I mean, we had 7 through 12 in one school.
Yeah.
I mean, 7th grade was high school. You know, I mean, and I don't think there's a day that goes by that I don't use or say something from not only coaches but teachers that taught me in high school, or something I learned on the farm. I mean, I think it just every day it seems like something came up from those great people.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I'll tell you too, everything I have in this world is because of a guy, Harold Van Eerden, was the athletic director for 29 years at Burt Hills. And he was, I remember one time he said, hey, I won't say the school, where are you playing today? I said, I'm going to there. He says, well, if you don't win, just keep going south. And you know what? Pretty harsh, but Harold wanted you to understand that, winning was important, and doing it the right way. And, but he taught me so much about, so I'd win a game, right? And I'd go down and I'm like, look at me, right? And I'd walk in his office, sit down, he'd get out a yellow legal pad with a pen and say, hey, I was at a clinic once, and this is what this coach says about what you did last night. I used to get furious, love this guy, and I would leave. I'd go down, I lost, and I'd go in there. I was the greatest coach I ever coached. That's how he taught me to be the person I am. Never accept, like, there's a rule that I have. Big win, hard practice. Don't let them relax. I mean, you can't. And that's what it was. It was, hey, you know what? You won, but you can do better. Right. We always tell our kids, unless you win 25-0, there's something you can improve on. And it's the same thing. But and I think that's important. It's a thing that's important to use with your kids. You lost, okay, not fun. But what can we get out of it?
Do you feel like over the course of your career you've gotten better at it, or maybe you never experienced this, but tough games, reflecting on bad decisions you've made, things that stick with you, it stays in your head where it starts to disrupt your personal life and it's things you're thinking about? And
it was tough in the 90s when there were just so much, and you're raising 3 kids. It was hard. That part of it was hard. But too, you think you know it, right? You think you know it all.
Yeah,
then you go in and you don't. And then you're like, yeah, but there are losses that today haunt me still. I mean, but again, we go back to that thing is we talked about before, is what do you learn from it? And what do you take from it? And the same things you tell your kids. But yeah, no, I've been in a lot of situations. I know that that there are gonna be those times you make that call, right? And you just know that you've been prepared to make that call, and know that if you like last night, text with my 2 sons and I. We're like, go for 2 when Notre Dame scored to make it 24-23. It was go for 2. That was, and hey, those are, I think, one of the toughest calls in sports.
Is right there.
Is that 2-point conversion. These guys that go for it at the end are, holy cow. I mean, unless you got the play, oh my gosh, because it's, woof. Oh, but you know what? That's what we love about it. That's what I love about it. I'm telling you, there's nothing like being on the sidelines in a volleyball game in the state final and just looking there and seeing these kids' eyes like this and say, hey, I'm not going to lie to you. This just ain't another game, but enjoy it, right? Or working basketball, working officials. Love it when you got a great official that you can joke with, like, what? And they, and I think there's coaches, there's people that again, and like kind of back to what you said, Mike, is like, I don't like losing. Like, we were watching football the other day, so it's either Vikings or Notre Dame that I live for, right? And I'm sitting there, and my wife finally says, 37 years of marriage, do you enjoy this? You're just like, Rocky, do you enjoy it? It's like, yeah. Well, it doesn't look like it. I mean, it's like, because, it's maybe because you don't have that control. You're watching, you just kind of whatever. But I think it's important as coaches that we, look at and we know that that's it. But I don't want to just say coaching. I mean, like the great things that you guys do here. You're working with groups of kids, we're all coaching. My wife with her 10 preschool kids, she's coaching.
Yeah.
And when I do my team demonstration, say, let's think about how many teams you're on. Let's see, if you're a teacher, you're part of the district team, you're part of your school team, you're part of your, the phys ed team or science team, and I call every class that I taught in phys ed for 35 years a team, right. Everyone, because everyone is different. There's class. Oh, here we go, changing this one. And I think it's just an amazing thing to be able to do what you guys do, what we do, and sure, there's going to be those bad ones, but hey, we make the decision, we move on.
Yeah,
right?
We're fortunate. I mean, I wear sweatpants every day. I'm hanging out with people. We're talking. It's the best.
Yeah.
It
Good really is. Who do you rather Notre Dame play in the final?
Doesn't matter right now.
They're there.
I just think, right, let's think back 4 weeks ago when Michigan's putting a flag in the middle of the Ohio State field.
Yep.
And Ryan Day might be fired Monday.
And now he might be going to national title.
Now he's the favorite. They say if he wins tonight, they'll be touchdown favorite with Notre Dame already. So I just love those things because I think the media, they drive me crazy. Yeah. I mean, like fantasy football. Had an unbelievable year this year. Came in third, won the regular season, but I'm already getting the mock picks for next year. I almost want to turn it off. They're driving me crazy.
Yeah, Lee Elliott hated the media. Do you have it, Jay?
You got that?
You want it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, turn it up.
Language warning. It's bad.
Wow. That's
more graphic than what I remembered.
Yep.
Yeah, far graphic.
It's like Jim
There's
Moore.
There's edits, right?
Yeah. We'll do edits. Jay's got the edits. Don't worry.
But but you know what? What do his teams think right now, right? It's like that guy's sticking up for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids are like that. They you got your back. And then, it's like you teach a charge in basketball and they don't call it.
Yeah.
Right? And I've known to go to officials like, Gary, it wasn't a charge. It's like, no, we just practiced them. They need to know that they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
I love that part of it. But I think, it's great. I think the coaching thing is great. We live in a great area here with a lot of great coaches in a lot of different sports. Some of the people, the programs that are here in this area, just like a lot of places, but pretty good stuff.
Yeah, man. Real good. I appreciate you doing this, Gary.
Yeah, man.
No,
this was awesome.
I just, again, I'm just honored and I feel blessed to get these opportunities and, the great things that you guys do here. And it's good stuff. And, we need to get together, work together to just make all these things better and
absolutely
and do more things for the kids. So
yeah,
I appreciate it and really and I'm honored.
No, thank you, man. Yeah, we've heard great things over the years. I mean, from we opened in 2018 and having some of your girls through and parents. So yeah, it's good to finally, link up and talk.
Get them on here and have a conversation. And
Yeah, no,
it was
love
good.
it.
Yeah, it's good, man. Let's go Notre Dame, right?
Yeah, hey.
Let's go
And,
Notre
and
Dame.
Vikings in Arizona now.
Listen, I'm a Vikings fan for the playoffs, so because my mom's a Vikings fan. So here we
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Let's go,
Yeah,
Sam
I
Darnold,
know.
baby.
Here we go.
Oh, gosh.
Thanks, Gary, man. We'll
All right.
catch everybody next time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.